The amount of community gardens with input from master gardeners of Washington County. Barbara Kingsolver is the keynote speaker for the Fayetteville Public Library True Lit Reading, or she reads from her book Flight Behavior about butterflies. And this is a really good goal that would be lovely to achieve in 5 years. Fayetteville removes all invasive species from its habitat and decreases use of pesticides by 50%. And that's all we can do. Next.
I can project. That's all right.
Okay.
Our cover story is Monarchs in Hog Heaven, and we have a picture of monarch butterflies and the outline of a hog. For our big headlines, milkweed restoration, wildlife habitat restoration, prairie restoration, with education seminars, and we're the first city in the country with milkweed in every yard. And Razorback Stadium plants milkweed hedges so we can be between the milkweed hedges. And then Brett Bielema's quote is, "Pigs fly with monarch wings." And we also have a sidebar about iguanas lacking nutrition because they don't have the monarchs to feed on. Tourism in Fayetteville increases due to monarch butterfly, and then we have pictures of the Razorback practice field with monarch butterflies and monarch butterfly hedges around the stadium. Thank you.
Next.
I think I'm okay. All right, so our cover is Arkansas. And it's Monarch-Ensaw, so you can.
Huh?
No, dash. Yeah. Okay.
I'll let you do this.
Okay. Don't mean the micromanage.
Well, no, it would have taken. Okay. Gotcha.
Okay. And so the cover picture would be the state of Arkansas with the monarch perched on the northwest corner. And so our focus was really like a regional effort with Fayetteville leading. So our big headlines would be Fayetteville inspires regional effort to provide habitat, creation, conservation, restoration, education and outreach key to success, and 8,000 plants distributed to 2,000 plots. For our sidebars, we have the Razorback Greenway serves as landing strip. The city grows and distributes to school gardens, homes, owners, city parks, other organizations. Habitat restoration in 3 local prairies. All local mayors join initiative. Free workshops and 30,000 students educated. We have some really great pictures of trees covered in monarchs. Students at the BGO are tagging monarchs for study, and we have a map with a GIS overlay of the region with all the different places that monarchs have been able to live thanks to the habitat we've created. And we have a quote from, of course, Mayor Jordan. Really excited about things, so.
I don't think so. Well, no, I think I can. Our cover story, the big cover says, Fayetteville, Arkansas proclaimed monarch capital of the world. Monarchs take over BBBQ, and it's renamed. We couldn't figure it. Bikes, blues, butterflies, and barbecue, or butterflies, bikes. You know, the 4 B's. There's 4 B's. Monarch adoption program at the Fayetteville Animal Shelter. Hogs changed their name to the Monarchs.
Jeff Long's quote is, "The Monarch assistants in the LSU game, they flew across the field, it caused us to pitch to victory." Entomology is now the favorite major at the university. Largest Monarch way station is 36 miles Razorback Greenway, so it's changed to the Monarch, named Monarch. The United Nations declares Fayetteville as the Monarch capital of the world. The Pope declares that butterflies have a soul and go to heaven due to peace in Fayetteville. And his quote is, "Fayetteville's love of monarchs may bring about world peace." Bars are always open, the doors and windows are always open, and they serve nectar on tap, and bee weed is legalized. There's also a no car zone in Fayetteville. There's no no cars allowed within the circle, so that there will not be any butterflies in the car grills. And our pictures are the biker with butterflies all around him, and there's a butterfly on the helmet of the football team, and then we have a picture of Milkweed.
All right, our cover story is Razorback game against Texas delayed by Monarch butterfly swarm. Big headlines are Fayetteville habitat efforts attract swarm blocks sun requiring lights in midday game. And swarm is picked up on KNWA radar. Local foundation funds Monarch initiative with a $3 million donation. Orange color is not a Texas invasion. And Coach Beelman credits Monarchs with game turnaround. Our sidebars include mayor's support of Monarch initiative promotes acres of new habitat. Successful volunteer program provides continued habitat management. Schools get on board with butterfly gardens. Milkweed giveaway promotes individuals to create habitat. And elementary students collect seeds for fall giveaway. And we also have a quote from Bielema, and he says that Fayetteville is proud to have supported the proliferation of monarch migration and happy to see the monarch reciprocate by supporting the Razorback football team.
Is this the last one? Is this the last table? Yes? Okay.
Okay, our idea was a monarch for every Fayettevillian. And we thought we would get enough milkweed plants out there, and based on how many larvae would be on the milkweed and how many adults that might produce, we'd get enough milkweed out there that it would create enough monarchs to be one-to-one population for all the individuals in Fayetteville. Some of the ideas, of course, we've got to get plants, and so some of the ideas we had for getting people excited about it are a contest for the most creative and productive monarch gardens, which we have different divisions for commercial, residential, schools. We played around for a minute with something to do with maybe a pub crawl. Monarchs like to flip from thing to thing and migrate around, so we thought maybe we'd try to do something with this pub crawl. And we also talked about tagging quite a bit and trying to get kids tagging monarchs and get people excited that way. So, monarchs for every Fayettevillian.
Yeah, one thing's for sure, I cannot fight the Fayettevillian. Really tried. Is that what it actually looks like? That's what it actually looks like? It looks like Fayetteville, and so that's okay. No judgment. All right, so what we're going to try to do with this list, and that actually went a lot faster than I expected it to, so thank you everyone for being very efficient with your stories. What we're going to try to do is identify the goals that a lot of the groups mentioned, or that are probably the most popular out of all of the headlines that were identified. So I think seed giveaway was identified in several groups, whether it's city giving away the seed or just having that provided. I think that was identified several times. And certainly school garden habitats was referenced several times. Since this is something that you're just already doing, I'm going to delete that for now. Okay. I personally really like the Monarchs and Hog Heaven line, but that could just be me. So can we have a hand raised for who likes that tagline of Monarchs and Hog Heaven? I expected this. Okay, then I'm going to keep that.
The invasive species actually was mentioned more than once.
Invasive species?
Yeah, it's huge.
Right. So is that a shared goal, would you all say, of removing invasive species? Okay. Okay. So having some kind of public outreach with that tagline, I think personally, Monarchs and Hog Heaven. Generally habitat restoration and milkweed restoration. Just this idea of promoting it in everyone's yards, I think, came up. Just personal gardening. I don't remember what that line, something about, a garden at Razorback Stadium. There was a lot of references to the Razorbacks, so you've got to forgive me for not remembering exactly what that. So everyone is very interested, it seems, in engaging the local university in this effort and trying to see if we can get them to plant theirs, because that a way for me to sort of dilute all of the different ideas of them invading football games and saying that's what we actually want them to do. Okay. I'm just going to put that. I think slide just kind of goes along with the Hog Heaven bit. Monarkansas. Sorry. And I think the statewide group actually decided to call their effort Monarch with the AR capitalized, but Monarkansas is also pretty cute. But again, I will say that is going to refer more to statewide efforts, and so I don't want to focus too much on that. Certainly this would go along with education and outreach. There was a lot of mention about education and offering workshops and just getting our kids engaged, whether that's tagging, going out and looking at these plants. The map of habitats I can actually help you with. This was an idea that they used over in St. Louis, but I presented to the Environmental Action Committee last night, where they actually had requirements to be designated as a pollinator habitat, but then they created a map of all of the habitats that had been created. And that's something that I can help you do here if you want to have that sort of program, and then you can show how you've covered the city, and that just helps you to see if you've succeeded in some of the goals that you've set with regard to habitat. So I can help you with that if that's something that you are all interested in. I saw a few nods, but let's do the hand raiser, because that was a lot more obvious. Map? All right, we'll do a map. And then I would just need your help in deciding what it would take to be on the map and how you then want to utilize that map. So we might discuss that a little bit later. Monarch capital of the world. I got to tell you, every single city has had this brought up. Which is why we actually had several phone calls ourselves, because the first city that completed all of the actions wanted to call themselves the Monarch capital. We decided that wasn't inclusive enough, that we wanted to encourage more cities to take on that kind of commitment, which is why we settled on Monarch Champions. So I'm just going to throw that out. There are some other titles that encourage others to rise to your level rather than saying, we won, you lose, bye-bye. So I remember you were trying to explain to me what this is, bikes, bikes, booze, and barbecue? And we're just going to throw the butterflies in there as well. That was cute. That's a way of utilizing already events that are going on and trying to bring that in.
Well, I don't make a connection at all. It's just that bikes, blues, and barbecue is huge around here, and so, but in National Geographic, really? I don't know.
I guarantee you, if y'all included butterflies with bikes, they would probably be interested in that.
Okay.
Just that connection is odd enough, or definitely newsworthy.
And
But
that's normal,
it
it's
was
normal.
more. I do like the idea of utilizing events that are already going on in order to bring greater attention, because again, that's just more efficient than trying to create a whole new event and inviting people to it. So that's something that we all can explore later on. World peace, I wrote that down just because I felt like I was at a beauty pageant. So we're going to try to dilute this, try to say increasing habitat and acres of new, so yes, we're very, very concerned about creating a lot of new habitat, providing the seed in order to create that habitat, and I'm gonna try to just put the main ones that we all agreed on up to the top.
The Razorback Greenway is important.
Razorback Greenway?
But it is also,
And that's what, it's regional rather than just.
Razorback Greenway. Okay. Do we want to set any kind of goals with regards to how many new gardens we would want to set?
Where are we now? Do we know?
And the lady who became just left the room, she'll be back.
Oh, wait.
We were thinking like 1,000 new monarch habitats over the next 5 years. And
Over 5 years.
Produce 100 larvae, that'd be 100,000 larvae produced in the city.
Okay.
That's just a reasonable goal, but it could be bigger, it could be smaller, just, that would be one goal.
1,000 over 5 years.
1,000 participants in the next 5 years.
And just to give you an example of the way this is handled in other communities, you could use pre-existing gardens, you just had to add on to them to say that you were increasing habitat. So you would add additional nectar plants, milkweed, in order to label that as a new pollinator garden. And in the city of St. Louis, they set 200 for a year. So if you say 1,000 is possible over the next 5 years,
5 years.
and everyone's, I'm seeing a lot of nods. Is there anybody that's saying, hell no? So 1,000? Does that work? And we can set like smaller goals leading up to that. So each year we can say this is how many new habitats we're going to create. But 1,000?
How big is the habitat?
That is something that you all get to decide. So it doesn't necessarily need to be acreage. It could just simply be the number of plants that's present, whether it's several milkweeds and then a few nectar plants. That's something that you can decide what you want to actually designate as a pollinator garden. I can show you some of the examples that have been used in other, yeah.
What, is there any, like, research about what is best for the monarch butterflies? I mean, that might help inform our decision on that.
Yes.
What do you mean by best? Best plant, best species of milkweed, or how many?
I'm thinking habitat size might, you know, I mean, I know that there are certain monarch, or milkweed species that would be better suited for monarchs, but, you know, like, if 2 or 3 plants works, then that would be great. But if it would take, like, you know, a certain square footage of, you know, milkweed plants growing.
This is actually a question that was brought up at that table. So I'll tell you that it's hard to really say because different milkweeds are going to grow to different sizes and have more leaves, less leaves. So something that you all could do is if you want to encourage specific milkweed, native milkweed varieties, and then specify how many you would like. But again, there isn't some set, this is exactly what you plant. One thing that they did over in St. Louis was they recommended a list of what they called the Monarch mix, which included different plants that would actually blossom at different times throughout the season so that you always had a nectar-producing plant throughout the migration period. But that was based on what the gardeners and the specialists in St. Louis specified. So that is something that I would encourage experts here in gardening to help establish that list in order to recommend for what would be best here in Fayetteville. So that's why I can't say this is exactly how many milkweeds, because it's going to depend entirely on what milkweeds you all choose to encourage. Okay, is that clear? Yeah.
I think there's something else. One organization does like a Monarch way station
Yes.
campaign that you could actually sign and
Yes.
have similar pictures to be sort of, what do you know about
Yes.
that? Is there a way to tie that into it?
Certainly. So if you, there are several different organizations that'll do certifications and signage. National Wildlife is one of them. And the purpose of that is that we're working with a campaign called the Million Pollinator Garden Network, which they have this goal of 1 million new pollinator gardens across the country. So if you fulfill the requirements to get assigned with any of the organizations that certifies gardens, it's contributing to that overall count at the national level. I would just recommend that at the city level, you come up with a way of knowing all the different groups that are getting signed through the various different resources that have those signs so you can make the count for here in Fayetteville.
Do you know the size of that? I've read about the Million Pollinator Garden. What size is it?
They never actually designated site at that level. again, they're using all of these organizations that create the signs and encourage certain developments, and so they're basically relying on those organizations that have signs to say what standards they have to get those signs. So it depends on which organization you go to get certified. Yes.
It seems like, I don't remember, last night at the Environmental Action Committee meeting, you or somebody else mentioned that even just a few plants in the yard is beneficial.
Qualifies, yeah.
And it's beneficial, it doesn't have to be a big.
It doesn't have to be a huge project. I mentioned that there had been some recent research about how now monarchs were more attractive to pollinator gardens rather than out in the wild because we are making the perfect habitat for them when we're creating these areas. Where we have the nectar plants, we have the milkweed, we're not using anything that would kill them, and there's a water source. Like, there are specific things that you do when you're creating a special pollinator garden that's actually attracting more butterflies than out in the wild. But there are a lot of different resources. I put a couple of handouts back there on attracting butterflies that you can look at. But again, I would encourage you to work with local gardeners who can identify the best, not only milkweed, but also nectar plants that can be used throughout the season. And then you can encourage that across the board. Yes, Ken?
Got one more plug, City of Fayetteville is certified community wildlife habitat with the National Wildlife Federation, same organization. And so we got, I don't know how many dozens and dozens of residents that signed up and certified their yards, which is not hard to do. And in schools, every Fayetteville school or almost?
I only have 8 out of 14.
Yeah, so 8 school gardens are certified. And so that's an ongoing program. And that's one thing we can tie into this easily, because it's the same organization, the city's already on board, and we can certify more residential properties and more parks. We got a lot of parks that are already in it, more schools, more businesses. So that's a good time.
I have a question that might be way off line, but I know some people who want to help by doing container gardening.
You mean like a pocket garden where it's just in the pot, basically? Okay.
Is that something that could be counted, would be?
Absolutely.
And then again, you are all going to decide what you're going to count as a habitat. So if they still have enough plants in those pots,
Yeah, you can do it on a department balcony.
I know there's actually a group over in Austin that is working with some local federal housing to teach them all how to plant in like old paint cans. And if they have enough paint cans, then that, yes, that would count as a habitat. So, yes, if you all define what this is going to be in this city. It's fun. You are the decision makers. Okay. So right now, let me make this a little bit smaller so you all can see what we have so far as our big goals. We have seed giveaways, more educational programs, specifically with school gardens, removing invasive species, having a public outreach campaign, increasing habitat, 1,000 pollinator gardens over the next 5 years, Razorback Greenway, increasing the number of tagging events, and then having that map of all of the habitats, of the 1,000 habitats that you create over the next 5 years. Are those the major goals that we all want to work on throughout the rest of this morning and also just in the future? That can be, we can include that as part of, let's say, public outreach. There's like a subheading of Monarch in Hog Heaven and then a subheading of utilizing public events. So the beep, lots of bees and bees would sort of fall under that public outreach aspect. Is that fair? Yeah. I'll just put community event. And I would encourage you to do, I mean, a lot of communities I've worked with have just said, we need a Monarch Festival, and that is actually a lot more energy and time than a lot of people recognize when they just say, we're going to do this. So utilizing current events is a great way of reaching out to the public without demanding so much of your time and energy that could be spent on some of the other goals that are mentioned here. Because we're all about being efficient and not recreating the wheel. Yes.
We could possibly come up with a package, like a booth that we could pop up at Bike Booth Barbecue and Block Street Festival and Spring Fest and all the other things. That way, we have a man booth and volunteers and hand out leads and brochures.
That'd be great, yeah. So you can have, and once you settle on that list of what creates a habitat, you can hand that out at public events and information about how to get on the map in Fayetteville, all of that, so you can have a table set up. And there would be volunteers. Oh, I want to include that one. Somebody mentioned volunteers somewhere down here. Volunteers for habitat management and also volunteers for these. So in general, community engagement, and we have volunteers to cover all of these types of events. Is there anything down at the bottom of this list that suddenly you looked at like, oh, I want that up at the top? Yes.
No. But I think we need to tap into the Hispanic thing too. And even in the community events, there are several Hispanic community events, but I really like the idea of making that an important part of our outreach.
Sure. And that can be, these are all topics that we're going to try to cover. If not today, later on, we can perhaps meet on conference calls in smaller groups to develop an outreach plan that you all would like to help accomplish, and that would be a component of that plan, making that connection. But I want to make sure that we have all of our, yes?
What about not only having the map of habitats, but having a database where it's accessible to everybody in the community, that it consists of the public gardens, the school gardens, the citizens' gardens, just that kind of information.
Certainly.
So that you can actually get numbers.
Well, and just to tell you about what I've done for some other communities that I'm working with right now, is that the map is not just habitat locations, but also locations of educational programs, as well as seed locations. So if there are local businesses that do sell the pesticide-free milkweed or nectar plants, you can designate those on the map as well. But you all can decide what it is that you want on this map, and then through the program that I use, you can embed that in any website, share it on social media. I would really be relying on you entirely to then promote this map to the community so that they can utilize it as a tool. Because if it's just a map for map's sake, then, well, that's relevant.